I'ma keep it real with you. Watching Anthony Edwards bully this 19-year-old convinced me about one thing about him. Anthony Edwards is a certified dog. Lock him up in the pound, take away Michael Vick's visitation rights, cause this man cannot be contained. Coming into the season, Anthony Edwards came in with a decent amount of hype. Well, as much hype as you can get playing for the Minnesota Timberwolves, but people thought he could finally make that leap, transcending into a superstar. They might have been right. A lot of his hype coming into this season actually came from the FIBA World Cup and Anthony Edwards going off on the international stage, scoring 35 points in a game, tying Carmelo Anthony for the second highest scoring total from a US player in a single game at the FIBA World Cup. With most of your typical superstars not suiting up for Team USA, Anthony Edwards filled that gap. To start this year, he has been on an absolute tear, and so have the Timberwolves. He's been averaging 28 points per game on amazing shooting 47% from the three. He has a lot of confidence in his shots and is making them. He's doing all of this with amazing defense to go alongside with it. Edwards is arguably the best two-way shooting guard in the NBA at this current time. People might say Shea is, but Edwards defensively has been a menace this year for the Timberwolves. I mean, just look at this defensive possession against Tatum. Literally hounded this teenage boy. You could call this a foul, since Edwards was pretty much hacking and scratching at Tatum while he was on the ground. Tatum was looking like he was getting attacked by a pit bull named Buttercup, and he was the toddler, but that doesn't fit my narrative, so I choose to ignore it. Anyways, Edwards' perimeter defense has been incredible this season, which is important for the Timberwolves because this area has always been a weak point for Rudy Gobert anchored defenses. That is one of the reasons why when Rudy Gobert used to play for the Utah Jazz, their defense would always be exposed in the playoffs. But with Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards playing stellar perimeter defense, it has made the Timberwolves defense suffocating. Currently, the Timberwolves have the #1 rated defense in the entire NBA, and were even able to hold the defending champs, the Denver Nuggets, to 89 points in a game. You could argue the Timberwolves were the Nuggets' hardest team to beat in the playoffs last year, which is a funny thing to say since they got a gentleman's sweep on them. But even a former Nuggets player, Bruce Brown, said that the Timberwolves series was their toughest series last year. Does every Nuggets player hold the same opinion as Bruce Brown? Maybe not, probably not, but I'm trying to push a narrative. Go along with it. Now, you have to remember that before the playoffs started last year, the Timberwolves lost Jaden McDaniels on the last game during the regular season because he saw red and punched a wall, which ended up fracturing his hand. Yeah, Stoudemire would be proud of him. Shoot, another huge contributor to the Timberwolves last season, Naz Reid, a very underrated player who doesn't get talked about enough, by the way, also didn't play in that Nuggets series because of a wrist injury. And no, he didn't also punch a wall. He just missed a dunk. A huge reason why the Wolves were able to put up a challenge in the first place without them was because of Anthony Edwards going off in that series. For that series, he averaged almost 32 points per game at the age of 21. He averaged the second most points per game in a playoff series by someone 21 and younger in NBA history, only behind yours truly, LeBron James. No one on the Nuggets could guard him. I know the Anthony Edwards and the Wolves still took the L, but they didn't just go out sad like some other teams in the playoffs last season. Going back to this season for Anthony Edwards, he has looked like a true superstar. The offense is finally running through him instead of Cat, which seems to be working. Edwards being able to score from all three levels on the court has been amazing to watch. If he keeps up this pace, he might even make an all-NBA team. Well, I think it's pretty much guaranteed he will make one, but he also may be in MVP discussions. Will Edwards be shooting 47% from the three for the whole season? No, but I think he can be pushing near 40% by the end of the season, probably around 37, 38. What has worried me a little bit about Edwards so far this season is that he's attempting and making a lot of tough shots. His shot selection isn't the best, and like in his recent game against the Celtics, he jacks up ill-advised shots. He is making them though, but it's reasonable to assume that that won't always be the case. His playmaking also isn't top tier, but I'm not too worried about that. He's still only 22 years old. Hopefully, Edwards over the season can ball out and show the NBA how good he is. maybe even make a deep playoff run for the Timberwolves. We will see. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and adios.